Hey everyone, this is Team Three's Workshop 1. We're doing our workshop over the article What Great Managers Do. And our team consists of Ziad Ahmed, Adam Mark, Griffin Wilkes, and myself, Mark Walters. And I am a junior this year at WSU, and I'm pursuing a mechanical engineering degree. So I'm going to start off tonight talking about chess versus checkers. So when you think about checkers, each individual game piece looks the same as the other, and they all do basically the same thing in the game. When you think about chess, each individual game piece looks different, and they all have different abilities. So when you apply this to a managing world, some managers will think of their employees as checkers. So they think of them as all the same type of person, and they're all pretty much interchangeable. But the great managers will think of their employees like a chess game. Each employee has a different personality. They have different strengths and weaknesses. And it's not just about the very next move. Oftentimes, to win a chess game, you have to think 2, 3, maybe even 4 moves in advance to win. And that's what great managers do is they won't think about what their employee is doing the very next move, but often moves in advance. So the next thing I want to talk about is good versus great managers. Good managers will recognize the employee's strength. They'll praise the employee and notify them of their displayed strength. And oftentimes they'll do this in a one-on-one meeting, and that's a really good manager. But a great manager will do all of that, plus they'll capitalize on the employee's strength. And that's huge when it comes to the efficiency of your business and making sure that you have a good business model and that your employees are all happy in their work environment. So the last thing I want to talk about is the do's and don'ts of great managers. So great managers will utilize the strengths and weaknesses of each employee. They'll schedule employees to make the business as efficient as possible, and they'll challenge the employees based on their personality. These all will make sure that the employee is efficient and that they actually genuinely enjoy coming to work each day and they love their job. That's what makes a good company. What great managers don't do is ignore or assume the strengths and weaknesses of each employee, schedule employees based on convenience, or settle for an employee's basic level performance. These will all produce an employee that is just going through the motions and doesn't really care about the success of their company. So that will be it for my portion of the PowerPoint. We'll go ahead and move on.
Hello, my name is Ziad. I am majoring in electrical engineering, and I will be talking to you about how great managers make the most of strengths of their employees. A good manager must always look for ways to make the most of strengths. Mainly speaking, there are 4 steps to follow in order to make the most of strengths. First would be observing each worker very closely. Second would be identifying their strengths and weaknesses. Third would be creating a plan to overcome said weaknesses. And finally, focusing specifically on strengths through 4 strategies that we are going to mention. Even though it is hard to identify the strengths and weaknesses of employees, a good manager knows exactly what to look for in order to identify them. The simplest way to find the strengths of an employee is through asking, what is the best day at work you have had in the past 3 months? This question helps to find out more about what that person was doing and why they enjoyed it. As if they enjoy something, they will always work extra hard to make it better and better. It doesn't necessarily need to be something they are good at either. On the other hand, to identify the weaknesses, we can simply invert that question to ask, what is the worst day at work you have had in the past 3 months? This will help show what is the person's least enjoyable things in work and things that are generally frustrating that they wouldn't want to do again or invest effort or time in. There are 4 strategies that help to overcome weaknesses, which great managers always follow. First would be relevant training for employees that lack skill or knowledge. Second would be pairing up with a partner that has strengths which cover for the other's weak points. Third would be to assist the employee in developing a technique to help accomplish through discipline instead of instinct. Finally, the fourth strategy would be to rearrange the working world of the employee, where he will not need to depend on any of their weaknesses.
Hello, my name is Adam Mark, and my major is electrical engineering, and I'm going to be talking about great managers are romantics. For this section, it gave an example of a Walgreens and a few workers there, one of them named Jeffrey. And for the first step in identifying the uniqueness of a person is to capitalize on each person's uniqueness. Specifically, Jeffrey, he was tasked with organizing and stocking all the shelves at the store. And that gave him a personal responsibility for that, which leads to the second part, which is once you capitalize on it, it makes the employee more accountable for their own work and then gives a sense of pride in what they're doing. And for the third step, the capitalizing on the individual uniqueness gives the team a sense of interdependency. So once everyone has their role and they become an expert in that role, the team begins to thrive and the store begins to increase in the productivity. And the last step is that this new sense of cohesiveness gives the store a sense of healthy disruption. So that gives the store a better idea of how to run things and how to get things done, because everyone has become a subject matter expert on what they're doing, so they know how to do it the best way possible. And then once you're identified in the uniqueness, this leads into the three levers. The three levers are put together by finding the strengths, finding what triggers those strengths, and how the individual learns about them. And from that, I will pass it on to the next speaker.
Hello, my name is Griffin Wilkes. I'm a mechanical engineer and major, and today I'll be telling you about what a trigger is and the three different types of learning. So a trigger can be a variety of different things. It can be the time of day, the time spent with the boss, or recognition. For the time of day, different employees work better at different times. For example, one employee might do his best work after lunch, whereas another employee does his best work first thing in the morning. Moving on to the trigger of time spent with the boss. This example would be some employees do better work when the boss actively checks on them, and others do better work when they are left alone, maybe have the boss check in once a week. Finally, down to our third trigger, recognition. This is the most effective form of a trigger. This could be one-on-one recognition or peer recognition, and it also includes customer reviews. One-on-one recognition would be face-to-face with your employee, telling them they're doing a good job. Peer recognition would be fellow employees telling that person they're doing a good job. And customer reviews are, of course, the customer giving feedback on an employee's performance. So how does this relate to us, the boss? To be a successful manager, your goal is to find each worker's trigger of good performance and match them to their corresponding environment. For example, if someone's trigger is peer recognition, you might want to do an employee of the month contest. Have employees strive to be the best employee of the month so that they can be recognized in front of their peers. Does the tactics of triggering good performance stop at the manager level? Simply, no. There's no reason that large companies cannot also employ these tactics of triggering good performance. So now let's look at the three different learning styles. First off is analyzing. Analyzers understand tasks by taking them apart and building the solution from the ground up. This type of learner craves information. If this person cannot solve a problem, they will research it until they can. They do not learn from their mistakes. They prefer to research before doing a task so they do not make any mistakes during their task. Next up is doing. Doers' most powerful learning moments occur during their performance. They like trial and error, and they prefer figuring things out for themselves. Finally is watching. Watchers learn best when they can see the full picture. They like to study the individual parts of each task And the best way to teach this type of learner is to have them shadow another great worker. They will respond by trying to mimic their performance. So what's the big picture? The two managerial lessons presented, triggering good performance and adapting to learning styles, both highlight the same main idea, fine-tuning. As a manager, your job is to look at each person individually, find their triggers, and learn their preferred learning style. With information on these two things, a successful manager will fine-tune how they assign tasks so they can bring out the best in their team. Thank you.